Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Mick Jenkins mixtape, The Waters. Mick Jenkins, Chicago MC, he's had a number of musical projects under his belt at this point, but he's still so young. Typically Mick's songs take a really captivating, conscious tone, and this newest project of his is maybe his most conceptual yet. This album is essentially about water, what it does, what it represents. Mick brings a series of different metaphors for water to the table across this album, including truth and knowledge. And this water theme runs throughout this album sonically, instrumentally as well. There is a lot of deep C sub bass coming through the kicks on this track, just really 20,000 leagues under the sea type low frequency bass. There's rattling hi-hats, lots of very murky, serene synthesizers. A lot of things in the mix here just touched with a splash of reverb, the drums, the vocals. You can essentially turn this mixtape up and feel submerged in it. This is definitely not a poppy, explosive, or aggressive mixtape. It can be a little redundant sonically with this very watery aesthetic that Mick Jenkins and his producers are shooting for on this thing. Admittedly, it is a bit of a grower. I think a lot of Mick's lyrics take a bit of time to digest in terms of wordplay and the message he's trying to get across. And even though this tape addresses a lot of very urgent topics, the overall feel of it is pretty relaxed. The only major issue I see on this tape is its kind of hit or miss start. The intro track on this LP, Shipwrecked, is actually not that bad. It has some beautiful guest vocals, an interesting beat change up toward the back end of the song. Mick really goes hard with his delivery at this point in the track. In a way, it kind of sets the tone for this very relaxed and watery album, but for anybody who was expecting this record to really come out of the gate with fire, this track can sort of be like sonic ambient. And I wouldn't really say Mick picks up the pace with the second track either, THC, which is the shortest track on the tape. It feels kind of like a filler song. It's really redundant with its hook, constantly telling me it's going to get me high, but this song really does anything but. This track is more sobering than it is intoxicating. There's the song Healer with Gene Do. I do like the theme and the story of this track. Mick's verse is about getting together with this girl and kind of describing this romantic encounter that they have where they go out, they hit up the Starbucks, they're having intelligent conversations, so on and so forth. It's nice, it's sweet, there's a nice sentiment to this track, but I don't really care for the blasé singing and sort of rapping or spoken word toward the back end of this track that Gene brings to the table. It reminds me of something like that Kilo Kish would do. This type of singing just does not do anything for me. And I'm even less interested in the no-name gypsy verse on the following track, Comfortable. It's easily the most boring feature on the entire record. Mick's singing on the hook of this track isn't really that on point, but again, we do get another series of verses from him that do save the track in a sense and keep it from being completely skippable. However, once the track list gets into songs like Vibe, it's really smooth sailing right to the very end of the record. I love the track Vibe. It is some sweet, intoxicating jazz rap with an amazing electric piano sample. I love the line that Mick delivers on this track for the art and not the hand clap. When it's clear, you can call it saran wrap. I also love the Jill Scott Black Thought reference on this track too. And the song Jazz is as beautiful as it is philosophical. It's a song about the truth, choosing the right life path, and speaking out. And throughout the track too, there are references to jazz artists, and music, but also referencing that jazz traditionally has been used as a term to talk about how people might just spout BS. There's also a static selective beat on Black Sheep, which has this really quiet, droning synth note in the background, some sweet, soulful chord progressions. And this is definitely a track that to me stands out because of just how urgent and passionate Mick's flow comes off. I mean, you don't even need to necessarily read into his lyrics to hear that he's rapping, he's writing, he's delivering with a lot of heart. It's all in his inflection, whether he is, I guess, sort of spitting something he feels very passionate about, a bit of truth of the way that he perceives the world, or even feeling kind of defeated, like on the track Drink More Water, where he's talking about how he can't afford to get his girlfriend into this open mic he performs at, but somewhere across the way there is a Riff Raff concert where people will swarm at. There's also an interesting line on this track where it's like he's addressing rappers who seem to make it but then immediately fall off artistically. When your stars get chose and your bars get low, when you're dull as a fucking butter knife and can't cut shit. I guess the only thing I'm not crazy about with this track is the hook. It's a little off, just the drink more water, take a little sip. It's just not that catchy or exciting. It's not really an interesting change of pace from the verse. It kind of just kills the momentum that the song had going thus far. Or there's the song Canada Dry. Again, not a track that's awful, but a song that I feel like Mick sort of needs to work on his pacing, because the tempo at which his flow and the beat on this track move just feels so mundane. But this tape does continue with great tracks like Hydration. The Mind does a fantastic job on the hook of this track. Not only is the singing fantastic, but the watery effects laid into his vocals do continue that interesting sonic concept this album brings forward. Plus, this track also features some of Mick's most dense and aggressive verses yet. There's the song Martyrs, which was another single coming off this tape. It's one of the slower and more dreary tracks on the project, but stays enthralling because of just how grim a lot of the imagery in Mick's lyrics are. And then there's the closer, Jerome, which is really the polar opposite of how the record started. Very serene, very sweet, very, very quiet and subtle. And now we're getting this hard-ass rhythm, this hard-nosed instrumental with Mick and Joey Badass of Pro Air going absolutely insane on the beat. Lately, Joey has been dropping a lot of verses where he's just yelling, screaming at the top of his lungs, and he continues on that here. And Mick does not look like he's going to be shown up on this track either. He kind of comes with roughly the same delivery. Him and Joey are just like neck and neck on a lot of these verses in terms of their aggression. However, it is Joey's verse that ends up wowing me the most, though I do love the song overall. I love his Goodfellas and then De Niro wordplay directly after in the next line, and how he's saying he wants the dollars, he wants the euro, just give me the say-so. I love that rhyme too. And that's the project for me. Overall, I think it's really great. I have to seriously recommend this mixtape to anybody who is a serious hip-hop fan in 2014. There are some tracks that pale in comparison to others, and the worst of all the songs, in my opinion, is THC. It is the shortest. It does get right out of the way at the beginning of the LP, but the rest of the album is just full of nicely written, wordy highlights. Maybe the sonic palette of the instrumentals on this album isn't necessarily going to be everybody's style or taste, but I think Mick is a very thought-provoking MC, and he's come through with a very interesting conceptual album. I'm feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this thing. Transition, if you've given this tape a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Mick Jenkins, The Waters, forever.